In fact, that's one of the reasons I've got Secretary Ching here, is we are planning a trade mission to Israel in November of this year. We're real excited about doing that. I can't wait to go back. I've spoken several times to my friend Eric Cantor about his recent trip over there, and some of the things that we want to do to continue to improve these opportunities between Israel and Virginia. I want to say that Mel Chaskin and Ralph Robbins and the Virginia-Israel Advisory Board continues to do a great job in helping to be the partner to build these relationships. In fact, we were just thrilled last year to welcome the Strauss family here in their great new partnership with Pepsi-Cola in putting together the new Sabra manufacturing facility out here in Chesterfield County. It is a world-class, high-tech, well-run company, and it was a real treat. I think Ralph and Mel, you have to admit, when we had Miss Norrie and Miss Strauss to the mansion for dinner, along with all the Strauss family and the Sabra Dipping Company leaders, to eat eggs and talk about hummus. We had a really good time at the mansion last year, and then went over to kick off the groundbreaking of that marvelous manufacturing plant. If you haven't seen it, it is unbelievable, the technology that has gone into that plant. We look forward to seeing Sabra Dipping continue to grow in its market share here in Virginia, and working in the country, and working with the Virginia Israel Advisory Board. We want to continue to find ways to attract companies from Israel to invest in Virginia, and similarly with this trade mission in November to find new opportunities for exports of Virginia product to the nation of Israel. So we're real excited about that trip coming up. I know the Lieutenant Governor was here this morning. I see the Attorney General here wolfing down his free lunch. He's always looking for free food. Those lawyers, you got to watch them. But you're going to hear from our other statewide officials, and I know you've heard from other legislators. But let me just tell you a couple things that we're working on this session, several of which go hand in hand with the things that I've read in your stated legislative agenda, things that are important here on Jewish Advocacy Day that you're pursuing. I've laid out four pretty clear areas that I want to see us work on this session. One is the area that still continues to be the top issue for our state, and that is economic development and job creation. We still have 6.7% of our people unemployed in Virginia, about 275,000 people looking for work. We're well below the national average. We've made progress from the 7.6% unemployment rate when I became governor, but we're fourth highest in the country in terms of net new jobs created. We still have a lot of work to do to try to fully recover from the global economic downturn. So we invested about $60 million last year in new economic development incentives. I've asked for some additional incentives this year, especially in technology and high tech and biotech and advanced manufacturing and tourism and some of those other areas that are core competencies of Virginia. I want to be able to see us continue to grow and expand in those areas. Secondly is the area of transportation. I know many of you are from Northern Virginia. I was talking to some friends in Northern Virginia about how pleased we were to expand the speed limit to 70 miles an hour around the state last year. Some of you said you'd be glad just to go 30 most days. So we have a bill this year that is working its way through the General Assembly with good bipartisan support to be able to put together a combination of bonds and an infrastructure bank and some qualitative improvements in the Department of Transportation to create some real new revenues right now that we can put into capital infrastructure to be able to promote road and rail and bridge and public transportation and the other things that continue to make Virginia a great state to do business. Thirdly is higher education. I know that education continues to be an issue that is of critical importance, not only in our state, but one that you have talked about and lobbied for on a regular basis. And I am only here because I have been blessed with having a good education throughout my life, growing up in Fairfax County and going to some fine universities after that. But education is what creates the full access to the American dream, and particularly in an increasingly complex world in which we live. we want to be able to give more people in Virginia access to a good quality higher education. My goal is to have 100,000 new degrees over the next 15 years. That is a bold goal. I think we can do it. I also want to make sure we keep a lid on tuition. Tuitions have doubled 100% in the last 10 years in Virginia. It's unacceptable. It's unsustainable. It hurts middle-class kids. It puts kids in debt for a decade plus when they get out of school. And so we put together a higher education bill that's reported unanimously out of the House Appropriations Committee. If you get to the House, it'll actually be debated on the floor today. And I think we've got very broad bipartisan support in both houses to be able to create new opportunities. I've invested about $75 million of new money in the budget for higher education this year, the largest in over a decade, that'll provide those new areas, and particularly in the areas that are critically important for our state: science, technology, engineering, math, healthcare, areas we're falling behind other countries in, areas where we have critical need for technology business and for the military, and areas where we believe the most growth is going to take place in the future. Tying education together with economic development is a strategy that we need to adopt. We want education so people will be good citizens and be learned, but we also want to make sure they're going to be able to contribute mightily to a growing economy. And so we're optimistic about this bill's chance to transform higher education. And then the fourth priority is government reform. We're looking at a number of things to try to make your government work better, more effectively, more efficiently. Now, you know that we've made a lot of dramatic cuts here the last couple of years. I've supported a lot of those. They've been very tough choices. We've cut in areas including healthcare and education. Last year, in order to balance the budget, $4.2 billion in cuts. Now, as a result of the tough choices that we made, we actually have one of few states that actually have a budget surplus, $403 million budget surplus, because we made those tough calls last year. But now we're able to invest some of those monies in these priorities of transportation, education, and helping to restore some of those cuts. So those are the four areas that I've got. We're also working on some things that I know are important to you. One is I have made budget amendments for about a little over $30 million in improving our mental health system in Virginia. I know you're going to hear from the Attorney General, who's been a tireless advocate for improving our mental health system in the state. But one of the things that we did well over a decade ago, because I carried the bill in the legislature, is to make a long-term commitment to moving people from institutional-based care to community-based care. It's the right thing to do. You got more support. The pharmaceuticals are there now to give people a greater quality of life. Commissioner Stewart, who's here, is fully supportive of that goal. We haven't made enough progress towards that goal, and so for any number of reasons, I think this is the right thing to do, and this $30 million plus will help us down that road to improve that area. We've also are looking at some health care reforms that we can make in the state to be able to provide better quality services for the safety net, but also be cognizant that we don't have an endless supply of money. And Secretary Hazel is here as well today, and one of the things we're looking at is how can we improve the quality and efficiency of our Medicaid program. Medicaid has increased 1,600% in 27 years. It's an unsustainable level of growth. It's gone from about 4% of our budget now to 20% and is heading towards 25%, 28%. Many states are already at that level. And so we've got to find ways to be smarter about the way we spend our Medicaid dollars to deliver good services through care management, through other innovations that the Secretary and his team have put together that I think the General Assembly will be receptive to, and we look forward to your input on that.